The reality is who we are is love at our core. And a lot of people have layered on a whole bunch of behaviors, and they've done them for long enough habitually that they believe that that's who they are. So they believe that it's going to be really, really hard to not be them anymore or do them anymore or have that habit anymore. Hello, beautiful one. This is the Raw and Wild Hearts podcast. I'm your host and guide, Lori Rising, star channeler, transformational mentor, and sacred guide of lifetimes. It is my mission to reawaken the ancient encoded knowledge, the sacred wisdom, and evolutionary truths that pulsate within every one of our cells. Join me in curiosity, intuitive guidance, and inspirational conversations where I will stand on the precipice with you. We did not come to dim our lights or play small. So I say, let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Raw and Wild Hearts podcast. I'm your host and guide, Lori Rising, and welcome to today's episode called You Don't Experience Things as They Are. ... Dun, 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 dun. Do you know where I'm going with that? Today, I am bringing an OG in. His work is utterly transformational. It's pioneering. He has changed the face of humanity. He has changed the experience of humanity because he catered to the trajectory that humanity unfortunately took themselves down, which is this path of rigidity, of black and white, of cause and effect, of over-explanation, and this need to have control over our world and over our experience. And I know you're all with me on this, where we know without a doubt that that has held us back. It's dimmed our light. It has absolutely delayed the utter freaking greatness and magnificence of this technology that we said yes to in this little bodysuit, in this vessel, in this portal, which is what we are. I mean, our cells and DNA are a freaking astral powerhouse. Anyway, his name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I happened upon something of his this week, and this quote came up. And of course, we all know this theoretically. We know this conceptually, but we have a little bit of a hard time embodying it. And it was so simple the way he said this that it's almost easy to override it. And I'm like, let's back up, beep, 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 because it is so important. And where we're at now in our, I hesitate to say understanding, but I'm going to say understanding of magnetization, frequency, and manifestation is that we do conceptually know this. Our mind knows it, but living it is still, it's out of the collective's grasp. And for those of us that are really tuning in, we are freaking like being so intentional. We're exploring every access point that this life experience offers us. We are starting to tip the scales. We're starting to be able to live it on a more, I want to say, easeful basis where it's like, okay, my body's getting it now. Because when we've over-relied on the mind for so long in like the expert narrative, in the learning trajectory of what we've been sold, our bodies are gonna just keep on autopilot until they finally kind of shut down from the stress of that, from the chronic stress of that state of control and resistance and like having to do it one way when that's not how we're made to come in and experience life. We're actually made to go in spiral directions and dimensions. We're made to make like massive quantum leaps and shifts and changes and pivots so that we can do things in a way that doesn't even make sense to the mind. And you know the dealio. Here it is. It comes from feeling. Okay, so what's the quote? You're like, all right, Lori, we are like over 3 minutes in. What's the full quote? And the full quote is, are you sitting down? Are you standing up? Are you laying down? Are you jumping? Are you dancing? Whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you're listening with your cells, I want you to hear this with your heart. Open up, take it in, and get radically transparent in your life in relation to this. So, okay, here it is. You don't experience things as they are. You experience things as you are. I'm going to say it again. You don't experience things as they are. You experience things as you are. Now, on a surface level, this can be really freaking supportive right now for many humans out here, especially in the United States of America, with all the politics going down and all the I'm right, you're wrong, and the anger and the contrast and, you know, the division, the separation, which is what politics are made for. They actually want us to be separated and divided. Okay, anyway, this isn't going to be about politics, but this is going to be really helpful for you. Because if you can bring yourself into the frequency of this, into the feeling of this, and what comes from the feeling is the knowing of it. When you can understand that it is the identity of who someone is being, because our behaviors are not who we are. The reality is who we are is love at our core. And a lot of people have layered on a whole bunch of behaviors, and they've done them for long enough habitually that they believe that that's who they are. So they believe that it's going to be really, really hard to not be them anymore or do them anymore or have that habit anymore, whatever it is. And so much of this comes from our past experience. And I'm actually going to go a little deeper with this today and call these experiences that are kind of in this chronic state micro traumas, right? Because when we have like a trauma, which many of us do, we are very aware of it. Like we are massively impacted by it. And, you know, our emotions, our feelings, our experience of the world, everything gets altered in that timeline. And then our response really dictates the way that we move into deeper emotional stress, stories, triggers around it, whatever it is, imprints in the cells that we don't truly let out and let flow and let go. But what I'm bringing up here, bringing forward, is the micro traumas in our life, like the experiences that we have over and over in relationships, which maybe stem from the root of wherever that energetic struggle came in. But now they've started applying to various areas of our life. And this can actually be really sneaky because we can start to assume that like everybody else knows what we know, and how could they have a different opinion or stance or whatever it is. So I want to like kind of rewind this a bit and like step us back into all of these experiences that become behaviors and become identities for people actually contribute to what they're believing about anything that's happening in life now. So going back to the quote, you do not experience things as they are, you experience things as you are. And now if you can really hold that truth in your body, in your heart, it will actually make a lot of sense to you as to why people have such vehemently different stances or experiences about the same issue. Now, can this change? Yes. Should these change? Abso-freaking-lutely. The thing is, we came here to change, to grow, to evolve, to become new versions of the plant that we are, of the seeds that we sow. And unfortunately, the way that we learned about science and matter and the world around us in cause and effect has really skewed that perspective for so many of us. And then here's Dr. Joe out here as a freaking game changer for humanity by showing the science of how nothing is actually real, how these things that we're fighting, sometimes to the death for, are not real. The physical symptoms of them are because we have put people and systems in place and just rooted them in from our belief over and over and over again. And then we sprinkle on a healthy dose of our learned ego and our defenses of coming from what we know is true as the identity that we are expressing in any given moment. And then you've got enough to keep humanity like super duper engaged in this hamster wheel through the emotional manipulation and the feelings that get provoked with that defensive ego. So instead of just turning to look into a new horizon where all of creation lies, we keep looking straight on in the thing that's actually been embedded in our literal DNA from generation to generation to generation. I mean, there are times when I sit and think about this, and it's so horrifying to me. But I can think about it this way because I actually have transcended that system in the way that it is, because I can see outside of it, right? Like, I've actually been able to do this for a long time because in my family, there are people that are on very different sides of the spectrum. And I've always been able to see both sides and also actually understand where those roots have taken hold that have offered that staunch belief that's coming from each person in the experience. And also because I did come in as a starseed and I knew more of our divinity than understood this collective of like separation, hate, anger, violence, whatever it was, I made a decision very early on that I wasn't going to allow this system that I could see was holding people kind of prisoner in that emotional realm, wasn't going to let that system dictate if I was going to have a healthy family or not. Like, I wasn't going to let them decide anything for me based on the hypnosis that they put out through mass media and propaganda. But I digress a little because what I was saying is like, I get so heartbroken when I think of like, especially our grandparents' generation or even our parents' generation or even our generation that's happening right now that literally stay plugged in to this container of the system and like live in so much, not only fear, but like anger. And that actually becomes the frequency that they're living in their life. And they'll actually leave this earth when it's time for them to transition in that place of anger and division and believing it could have been or should have been different. Like maybe if their side won more or something. But if we can actually just pull ourselves out just a little bit, if you pull yourself out of the immediacy of what's happening right now and you look along the whole timeline, you can see that it'll move so much one way or the other, enough to give like one side hope, the other side anger, and then it'll teeter-totter back and forth, but it never actually changes. The only change that we hear is like a bunch of rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really want this podcast to be super political, but it's actually a pretty easy example to look at right now when we sit with this transmission of these words that Dr. Joe is sharing. And literally he's sharing it from a place of science. Now, it is my hope for humanity as we move deeper and deeper into the golden age that we can actually disrupt that pattern that is within us, within our cells and DNA, that believes that we need to prove it before we believe it. So this is where I'm sure that you've heard this for a long time, or even when you were younger, it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like parents will say that often to kids. So then kids take that in and they take that as truth. It becomes their world. And then we get very jaded and cynical. And then we actually truly believe within us that miracles aren't real, that they're only for like tales of the Bible, or we hear about some big thing that happened over the news, but it was just an anomaly. There's no way that that is something that could happen to me or anybody I know. And then we believe that imagination is for children. And then we normalize stress as the dominant frequency or energy of our life, with relaxation, ease, joy only coming in either when it's kind of like forced, because this is where insert alcohol, recreational drugs, whatever it is, or when we finally get to that vacation. And do you know how this is going to change? It's by me and you living it differently. So we actually have to explore those thoughts and stories that live within us that create the belief system that rules our reality. And listen, here we go. Like, here's the dealio. I have worked with plenty of people over these years, and I have continued to hone this in and hone this in and hone this in. And once we actually get to that energetic root that became so solidified in our life, that actually keeps branching out into those looping triggers, patterns, challenges that come up in our lives that we're defending against, the liberation is the miracle. And once you do it even once in your life, you start to understand that every experience that you have can be and absolutely is shaped by what your cells and heart believe is true. So let's like open this up a little bit. Let's just get a little bit lighter with this, because I want to go back to like the manifestation thing. What we know in manifestation is it's actually, I will see it when I believe it, without the final result, the expectation, or the evidence to show me it's true. And this is what I'm talking about, where I feel like a lot of people are actually conceptually grasping this at this point, but what we think in our mind will only continue to loop as a struggle in our mind if our heart and cells can't find the embodiment of it, especially if we're constantly running something in our life from that place of chronic stress, right? Where we're either living in the past from a fear or a doubt of the future, a worry of the future, something like that. And we're not in that present moment where creation energy lies. Okay, so I am going to bring it back to the politics a little bit, just because it is really easy to show examples, because I know you are all, it's like ripe for the pickings in your life, because I mean, if you're plugged in at all to the news or to media or even to the collective, you're going to be feeling this because you're an energy worker and you are absorbing the energy before you're ever hearing the words. So, because I was sitting with this, because I, feel so much of this fear out in the collective about money, right? Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to my money? What if it goes away? And as I was driving to my event last weekend, I was just kind of like opening the energy and wanting to channel through. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not actually about the money. The money is the physical symptom. So I'm taking you into my process here, whereas like I have the superpower of being able to get deeper to the energetic root of something, which many of us won't want to go back to because that has happened somewhere in the past that we don't usually want to revisit for fear of feeling that again at some capacity. So the energetic root of the physical symptom of being fearful that money's going to go away is you actually don't want to lose control, right? So if money goes away, that means that something has gone awry within your ability to control what's happening in your life. Like what's coming in, what's going out, how much is there, Like if I clock in, I clock out, what do I do on a daily basis to just keep this boat afloat or this machine running at the level that I have stepped it into? And when I say stepped it into, I say that because this is taking us back to a linear trajectory that got us to here, that we believe is like, oh my gosh, I've put so much time and effort to get to this place where this is coming in, this is what I have, and this is what is going out, and I feel comfortable with this, and I do not want that to change. So that's the first layer, is we don't want to let go of control. Now, the next layer beyond that is that we don't want to change. We fear the change. For all the reasons that we have deposited in to what we believe, to our identity. And a lot of that can be like this fear of failure, right? This fear of, I don't know how to do something different. Or we can go back to the linear educational system and expert narrative, where it's like, oh my God, I'd have to start all over. And starting all over in that frequency is, it's horrifying. It's exhausting, because we get on this long timeline of, I'd have to do all this training. I'd have to get the job. I'd have to get the experience, blah, blah, blah. It would take me years to get back to where I'm at now. That is false. But it would be true if you were approaching it from that identity. So if we look at the thing, right? If the thing is, oh my God, suddenly money goes away. Now let's go into Dr. Joe's quote, where you don't experience things as they are. You experience things as you are. P.S. This is backed by science. I just want to be clear on that, right? Now, let's say I'm experiencing something like that, which actually I kind of am experiencing something like that. More to come on that in the next podcast. So P.S., make sure you are subscribed, because it is going to drop like it's freaking hot. It's going to be such a good and rich episode. But here's Lori experiencing whatever's happening in the collective right now. And she's just doing her thing, right? I have done so much deep work, and I have cleared up these energetic roots and struggles in my life that I actually can access the present moment in profound ways. Doesn't mean that I don't have experiences or worries or doubts that come in, but it means that I know how to work with them in this space of creation, evolution, change, magic, magnificence, and manifestation. I know how to work with frequency, right? Because I have put the work in to land it in my cells and my heart, not just in my mind. I'm not going about it on strategy. I'm going about it from experience. And in that experience, I have found my way to abundance consciousness, to wealth consciousness, to the birthright and the belief that at our core we are love, and to knowing how to work with energy and frequency in my life, as well as having a very clear channel with my guides and with my innate guidance system. So for me, the way I'm going to experience the thing that somebody else is experiencing as fear and scarcity and loss of control is going to be in abundance and creation. And there's always another way. And I'm always being guided when I tune in and listen. It can be shifted in a moment, in a light second. I guess, in other words, the way to summarize this is I have flipped the script on conditional living or expectation of outcome. And I can also understand the larger timeline at play, because I'm not so drawn in by the drama or the fear train that can freaking snowball this, because I know how beautifully sensitive we are as the ultimate antenna and tuner to any energy that's around us. I've said it so many times before, and I'll say it again, we are the highest technology. And once we stop giving that power away to any other system, and we start finding the true deep rooted belief in that, we will be unstoppable because we will come together in profound ways. And I know this because I'm a part of those communities already that are actually making ripple effects in their communities and their families and relationships. And I mean, honestly, if we truly understood this one simple reality, things could change dramatically if we all kind of joined into it. And it's something that, again, I talk about this often. I even have a podcast. If you want to go back and listen to it, I will link it below in the show notes. It's called Environment is Everything. If you really pay deep attention and intention in the environments that you put yourself in the rooms that you put yourself in, nothing that's happening on the outside can sway you. Like, you will be unshakable. You've got to have that kind of energetic cheerleading around you to keep choosing the new identity. Because the old identity, which also has the old people that knew you in that identity, will keep trying to knock on your door. It does get easier and it does get more momentum the more you do it. How do I know? Because I've continued to do it. And that's where I have moved through this massive evolution. Again, make sure you listen to the next podcast that drops, because I'm going to have the deets, the 411. It's going to be really juicy and really supportive to hopefully help you start to take bigger steps into how you experience things. So this feels like a little prelude, if you will, a little warm up, a little appetizer for the main course that's coming. But you're definitely going to want to hear it, because I'm going to be talking about becoming a 6-figure business in year 3 of business with some real talk. And this won't just apply for people that have businesses. Like, this applies to an absolutely energetically clear and liberated life, where you actually do start honing in your skill and mastery of becoming the identity of your greatest iteration, of your divine mission here in this body, of abundance in life, where no matter what's happening in that container, or whatever container, your family, politics, like whatever it is, your job, it will not touch you. You will have transcended it, and you will know deeply that you are here as the ultimate creator, and you're always being guided. And that gets to look and feel and be different, expansive, new, exciting, all the things at any moment in any day. So my suggestion would be to just really let this transmission land. Notice if you started to posture up, or your ego started to come in, or you just decided no, this is not right. It's not just what's happening in the world. And of course I have to fight back. Just notice it. And then come back to this quote over and over again. I want you to keep repeating it, feeling it, thinking about it, understanding it, until it really does land for you. You do not experience things as they are. You experience things as you are. And then I want you to practice with this. Practice is where the magic lies. We are still relying too much on quote unquote learning and conceptualizing things, and then letting ourselves get pulled back to those old behaviors in our embodied life, in our responses or reactions. So the next time you get this hit where it feels like this separation, this division, this duality, this contrast in your life that doesn't feel good, right? It's stressful, it's challenging, it's triggering, whatever it is. I want you to really sit with this, and whatever's on the other side, I'm assuming it's probably going to be a person. If there's a person on the other side, I want you to understand that they're not approaching this thing that's happening as it is, or as you understand it. They're approaching it from who they are being. And that goes back to all of these experiences, these patterns, these conditions that aren't even just of their lifetime. If they're not doing the disruptive work, the scarcity and the limitations and the fears that are coming from their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. And those left unexplored and unhealed are going to compound to an explosive space within the body and the identity. Just sit back, take a nice deep breath, nourishing your body, find your way to the present moment, and sit in this profound wisdom of every single person approaching anything that we see as a reality from who they are being. Not who they are being based on the cumulative effects of whatever has transpired that's been taking root in the subconscious and in the cells. And don't forget to apply that to yourself as well. In one of my mentorships, I was guiding a woman back to the reality of the person that was on the other side of one of these experiences. And in that first week after we did that, she came back and she said, I just wasn't ready to have compassion for that person yet. And I totally understand that. But this was a much deeper root that we were getting to. I wasn't leading her back to that person's experience for her to feel sorry for her. And this is like really important to note right now because it's a common theme for us to feel guilty or like we should feel sorry for somebody. I was leading her back to that reality of the other's experience to create separation so that we're not so entangled in the energies that we can't see out of it or we can't see kind of above it where we can transcend it and see it for what it is. And this, my friends, absolutely takes mastery. And you can get there. You've got to desire this in your life so much more than the dominant collective narrative of cause and effect. And I'm sure that you would hear Dr. Joe talk about this as well. But the reality is, the quicker that we make the transformation of the experience of life within us, the quicker we'll see it outside of us. We really have to stop trying to force the change or the condition in order to feel better and get back to our true core, which is love. It's love, baby. It's love on the love boat. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't remember the words. I do remember the jingle though. So, okay, let's lighten this up. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was supportive, and I would love to hear. So please take a screenshot and share it on your IG, on Facebook, tag me. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. If you felt something supportive, if something like gave you a little bit of an epiphany or even an access point where it could have felt a little triggering, but then you allowed yourself to explore that. And if you did find this supportive, the podcast is just coming back and the algorithm takes a little bit to let it know that I'm here. So I would love it if you haven't yet, give me a star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really, really helps the show get into more hands of people that might not even be considering that this could be the reality of their life. And if you're not on Apple, maybe you're on Spotify, I would just love it if you would subscribe so you get alerted anytime I drop a new episode. Definitely take a moment to share this with one friend that you know would dig it and be like, oh yeah, I got you. Other than that, let me just say, I do have the next Octave retreat is coming up in July. So for those of you that want to do the quantum leap, that really want to find those energetic roots that are causing struggles in their life and heal them, become the healed one, and then blast off into your ascension, your enlightenment, and living in a state of wealth, consciousness, and abundance so that we can ripple it out into the world. You want to have these astral realms of possibilities in your heart, in your cells, the next Octave is for you. Do not wait. Come and join us. I'm going to link it below. Let me know if you have questions. I want to make sure that this is the perfect fit for you and for us. It is on the magical property of Windy Goat Acres, one of the most exquisite properties I've ever been on. The ancestor medicine there is yum. And also, P.S., keep this in your field because I've got a free masterclass coming up. I don't have the details yet. My team is working on it, but it is called The Dimensional Dance. And this is where we talk about 3D, 4D, 5D. So you do not want to miss it. It's happening at the end of April. So just come into my world, hang out, get on my email list, whatever it is, so that you are alerted as soon as this drops, because I want to see you there. This is going to be so much fun to move through these dimensions with you. All right, y'all. Oh, P.S. I do have my revamped version of my free 6 daily hacks to raise your vibrational field quickly. So if you're having trouble wrapping your mind around these changes, this is a way where you can actually start working with the energy and pushing play on some things where you don't have to figure it out on how to get there. I revamped it and it is lit, y'all. So check that out below. It's an absolutely free guide for beautiful support on this path. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I love that we are together again, and I can't wait to come back in a couple weeks. I'll see you then. And until next time, don't forget to keep looking up.